Story 1. The fourth floor doesn't stay locked. I've worked night maintenance at Belmar Public School for almost 11 years. It's not glamorous. Just bleach water, broken lockers, and lights that buzz like trapped insects. You learn the building's rhythm, which pipes knock when the heat kicks in, which hallway echoes. Eventually, the school learns you back. Belmar has 4 floors. Students only use 3. The 4th floor has been under renovation since before I was hired. That's the official story. But no construction crews have ever come at night. No dumpsters, no scaffolding, no noise. It's just a locked stairwell door with a metal sign. Authorized personnel only. My shift runs from 4 to midnight. By 7:30, the halls are empty. By 9, the building feels hollow. That's when the air changes. It's not colder. Thinner. The first time I noticed it, I was mopping outside the science labs. The lights flickered. Normal. They flickered again. Still normal. Then the classroom door at the end of the hall opened slowly. No wind, no HVAC surge. It just opened. I figured a teacher forgot to latch it. I closed it. It opened again. I propped it shut with a chair. When I turned back after dumping my mop bucket, the chair was in the middle of the hallway, not knocked over, placed upright. Facing me, I mentioned it to Vice Principal Harrow the next morning. He didn't even look up from his laptop. Old hinges, he said. Building settles. The school was built in 2009. 2 nights later, I heard footsteps on the 4th floor stairwell. Slow. Measured. Descending. But the door was still locked. The handle didn't rattle. The footsteps just stopped halfway down, as if whoever was walking realized I was listening. I pressed my ear to the metal door. Nothing. Then a single knock from the other side. I told myself it was pipes, thermal expansion, anything. But that's when the smell started. Not decay, not mildew, old paper, like books left in a damp basement for years. The smell only ever appears near that stairwell. By the second week, things started moving. Small things at first. Chairs slightly angled, trash cans repositioned, whiteboard markers laid out in straight lines. It wasn't vandalism. It was arrangement. Deliberate. The security cameras don't cover the 4th floor stairwell. I asked it about it once. They said budget cuts. Every other stairwell is covered, just not that one. One night, around 10:15 p.m., the fire alarm panel beeped. Zone 4, 4th floor, unauthorized door access. My stomach dropped. I had a master key. Wasn't supposed to use it unless directed, but protocol says investigate. So I did. The key turned to easily, like the door had been unlocked already. The air upstairs felt compressed. Dust floated in thick layers, untouched. But the footprints in the dust weren't mine. They were small. Barefoot. The 4th floor isn't under renovation. It's furnished. Desks stacked neatly. Lockers intact. A bulletin board with faded letters spelling, "Welcome back 2013." The date on the corner of the board stopped at October. Nothing past that. There's no record of a 4th floor program. I checked the archived folders in the main office. Every map omits it. Every fire evacuation plan labels it mechanical storage. It isn't, it's a classroom wing. The first time I saw her, I thought she was a reflection. At the far end of the hallway, standing outside room 412, long dark hair, school uniform, head tilted slightly, like she was trying to understand me. I blinked. She was gone, but the classroom door was open. I hadn't touched it. Inside room 412, the desks were arranged in a circle, not stacked, not dusty. Clean. The whiteboard had one sentence written across it. "You forgot me." My throat went dry. I don't scare easy. I've worked through power outages and break-ins. This felt different, not chaotic, focused. The next morning, I checked district archives online. In October 2013, a student disappeared named Eliza Navarro, age 15, last seen at school. The case was never resolved. No mention of a 4th floor. That night, the footsteps came earlier. 7:45 p.m. clear, descending again, stopping midway. This time I heard breathing, not mine, slow, close to the door. I didn't open it, but I spoke. "I know you're here." Silence. Then the handle turned. Slowly, the door opened on its own. She stood 3 steps up the staircase. Same uniform, same tilted head, but her eyes weren't empty. They were expectant. I didn't forget, I said, even though I had. Everyone had. The administration, the district. Her classroom had been erased. She stepped backward up the stairs, inviting me. Every instinct screamed at me not to, but something heavier pulled me forward. Not fear. Responsibility. Room 412 was brighter. No dust. Desks filled. Every seat occupied by a shadow, featureless, except hers, stood at the front, in the teacher's position. The whiteboard changed. The words shifted. Why didn't you look? I felt something press against my chest, like guilt made physical. I wasn't here then, I said. Her head tilted further. A sharp crack echoed from her neck. Too far, too unnatural. The shadows in the desks began tapping. In sync. Like pencils. Faster. Faster. The fluorescent lights flickered violently. I ran. Down the stairs, through the door. It slammed behind me without a touch. The alarm panel lit up again. Zone 4 breach cleared. No record logged. The next day, I confronted Vice Principal Harrow. I mentioned her name, Eliza Navarro. He froze. Just for a second, then smiled too carefully. That was handled internally, handled like a plumbing leak, like mold. Something to be sealed off. That night, the 4th floor door was already open. The smell of old paper filled the entire stairwell. It's not just near it. Every classroom door on the 3rd floor stood open, chairs aligned in the hallways, all facing the stairs. The footsteps didn't stop halfway this time. They reached the bottom. I didn't see her. I felt her, right behind me. Breathing. Waiting. I haven't quit. I still work here. But every night at exactly 10:13 p.m., room 412's light turns on, even though the power line to that floor was supposedly disconnected. Sometimes I hear a girl's voice in the hallway. Not angry, not violent, just repeating one sentence softly. Don't forget again. And I don't think she means just her. Story 2. The class that wouldn't stay still. I've been teaching grade 10 English for 11 years. In that time, I've handled fights, breakdowns, cheating scandals, even a gas leak evacuation. Nothing prepared me for room 214. It started on a Tuesday. 3rd period. 32 students. Fluorescent lights humming. Projector warming up. The air thick with the smell of whiteboard cleaner and adolescent restlessness. Routine, comfortable, predictable. Until the first desk moved. It didn't scrape. It slid. 3 inches, no one was touching it. The sound was soft, wood against tile, but every student heard it. They all looked at me. I looked at the desk. I laughed. Who's pushing? No one answered. The desk belonged to Mara. Quiet, withdrawn. Perfect attendance. Pale in a way that didn't match illness, more like exhaustion. Her hands were folded on top of the desk when it moved. She didn't react. That unsettled me more than the movement. I told myself it was uneven flooring. Our building was old. The administration liked to remind us that budget constraints meant creative tolerance. I nudged the desk back with my foot. Didn't resist. 10 minutes later, my whiteboard eraser launched itself off the tray. Not dropped, not rolled. Launched. It hit the floor hard enough to make 3 students jump. I froze mid-sentence. The tray was level. The eraser had been flat. I know that because I'm meticulous. The class laughed nervously. Someone whispered, "Haunted." I shot them a look. We resumed. The air felt heavier. The fluorescent hum seemed louder. Or maybe the room had gone too quiet. When the projector remote slid across my desk toward the edge, I felt it before I saw it. A vibration. Like something had brushed the wood from underneath. It stopped just before falling. I stared at it. No one was near me. I dismissed class early, told them I had a migraine. That wasn't a lie. The pressure behind my eyes felt mechanical, like something tightening. That afternoon, I checked the security footage. Room 214 had a ceiling camera. I watched the recording alone. The desk slid. The eraser flew. The remote moved. No visible interference. No student trickery. No strings. No drafts. Just motion. Deliberate. I showed the vice principal. He watched without expression. Probably vibrations. he said. From what? Construction nearby. There was no construction nearby. He smiled. We don't want rumors. That was the first time I understood. And we weren't investigating. We were containing. Wednesday, third period again. Room 214 felt colder. The thermostat read 73. My breath wasn't visible. But the students were rubbing their arms. Mara sat in the same seat, hands folded, eyes down. Halfway through a reading exercise, every pencil on the right side of the room rolled off their desks at once. Not randomly, simultaneously. Like something had pushed them. The clatter was sharp and metallic. Students gasped. One boy stood up. No one move, I said. I don't know why I said that. Instinct. The overhead lights flickered. Not a stutter. A pulse. Bright. Dim. Bright. Dim. In rhythm. Like breathing. Mara finally looked up. Her eyes weren't frightened. They were tired. Can I go to the nurse? She asked. Her voice was barely audible. When she stood, her chair skidded backward on its own. Hard. It hit the wall. The class erupted, students backing away, phones coming out. I shouted for everyone to sit down. Authority is a reflex, even when you don't believe in what you're seeing. Mara didn't react to the chair. She just stood there, as if she was used to it. That thought lodged somewhere unpleasant in my mind. After class, I asked her to stay. We sat across from each other. Has anything strange been happening at home? I asked carefully. She hesitated, then nodded. Things fall, she said. Only when I'm in the room. I felt the room tighten. You think you're causing it? She shook her head. I don't want to. That wasn't denial. It was fear. Thursday, third period, I rearranged the seating chart, moved Mara to the opposite side of the room, far corner. I didn't tell the class why. We began a vocabulary quiz. Silence. Pencils moving calm. Then the window blinds snapped upward. All of them simultaneously, slamming against the top brackets. The windows were closed, no wind, the blinds hung still for 3 seconds. Then they dropped. Hard. The crash echoed down the hallway. A student screamed. Another started crying. The intercom crackled. The principal's voice, remain in your classrooms. That meant the noise was heard elsewhere. The bookshelf near Mara tipped forward. Not fully. Just enough to threaten collapse. I lunged, caught it. It was heavy. It was too heavy to move without leverage, yet it had shifted. Mara was shaking now, not dramatically, just small tremors, like suppressed electricity. Her test paper had been torn down the middle. She hadn't touched it. I escorted her to the counselor. As we walked down the hallway, lockers rattled in sequence behind us. Bang, bang, bang. Following, students peered out of classrooms. Teachers stepped into corridors. The rattling stopped when we turned the corner. The counselor suggested stress. Adolescent hormones, psychosomatic projection. I suggested physics. She suggested discretion. Friday, I requested a substitute. Administration denied it. We can't validate hysteria, they said. That word again. Containment. Third period. The room felt wrong before the students entered. The air thick, static prickling my skin. I could hear something faint, a low vibration, like distant machinery. But the building was quiet. Mara walked in last. Her eyes were red. She sat without speaking. I began attendance. When I said her name, the classroom door slammed shut. So hard, the glass rattled. The handle twisted violently, as if someone was trying to enter or exit. The lights exploded. A burst popped. 3 bulbs shattered in their fixtures. Glass rained down. Students screamed. I shouted for everyone to get under their desks. Desks began to drag. Not one, not two. All of them. Across the tile, shrieking metal legs. Moving toward Mara. Slowly, like a tightening circle. She stood up. No, she whispered. The desks stopped. For one suspended second. Then they slammed inward, crushing into each other. The sound was deafening. I grabbed her arm. The moment I touched her, every object in the room lifted half an inch. Chairs, papers, backpacks, even the broken glass, hovering, trembling. Then everything dropped at once. The silence afterward was absolute. Students were crying. One had a cut on his cheek. Mara collapsed, unconscious. Emergency services arrived. Administration sealed the room. Students were instructed not to post videos. Phones were confiscated temporarily. Parents were told there had been a minor structural incident. Structural Mara never returned. Her parents withdrew her. I tried to contact them. No response. Room 214 was renovated over the weekend. New lights, new desks, new flooring, fresh paint. As if that could reset physics. Monday, third period. New student sat in Mora's former seat. Different name, different face. Same quiet stillness. Halfway through class, a single pencil rolled off a desk. Soft, deliberate. I didn't react, neither did the student. But the air felt charged again. Waiting. Testing. I understand now. It wasn't the room. It wasn't even Mara. It was pressure. Something kinetic. Something that needs containment. And schools are very good at containment. Until the desks start moving again. Story 3. The halls that watched. I've walked these halls more times than I can count. As the night security guard, I know every crack in the tile, every squeaky hinge, every blind spot the cameras miss. Routine is everything. Until the night I noticed the halls weren't empty. It started on a Monday. My rounds began at 9 p.m. The school was dark. Classrooms locked. Fluorescent lights only in the main hallway. I had my flashlight, my radio, and my clipboard. Everything seemed normal, until I reached the West Wing. The West Wing corridor is long, narrow, and lined with lockers. I passed the janitor's closet and heard a faint shuffle. I froze. Nothing on my radio, no footsteps echoing. I shrugged, maybe a rat. I kept walking. The air felt heavier, like I'd stepped into a warm, stagnant room. My skin pricked. My gut told me to leave, but leaving wasn't an option. By 9:30, I was at the second-floor science labs. Normally, the night is quiet here. Tonight, the lab doors were slightly ajar. I swore I had locked them all. Inside, nothing moved. Equipment untouched. Beakers in place. But I felt it. Presence watching me. Waiting, I called it over my radio. West Wing clear. No response. I rounded the corner toward the gymnasium. A sudden draft brushed my neck. No windows open. HVAC off. I stopped. Flashlight scanning. Nothing. Yet the sensation persisted. Someone was there. I knew it. By 10 o'clock, my round started to feel different. Hallways weren't just empty, they felt alive. Paint peeling seemed sharper. Lockers seemed closer. Shadows elongated unnaturally. My flashlight flickered. The computer lab monitors powered on by themselves. Blue screens, blank spreadsheets. I tried to switch them off. Keyboard resistance. Mouse unresponsive. Then, a file opened, untitled, blank, but a single word typed itself. Wait. I froze. I'm a rational man. I've seen plenty of weirdness, kids hacking systems, motion sensors malfunctioning, but this. It's felt deliberate. By 10:45, the presence escalated. I was walking the second-floor hall when I saw a door slowly swing open ahead. No wind, no one behind me. I stopped, flashlight steady. The door opened wider, then slammed. I radioed the main office. Door in the second-floor east wing just opened on its own. Static. Then the office supervisor's voice. Probably just the HVAC vent. Bullshit. I know the building. That vent doesn't reach that door. By 11 o'clock, I realized I wasn't alone. The lights in the hall began flickering in rhythm with my heartbeat. I turned, expecting to see a student or someone playing a prank. Nothing, but the air seemed to pulse, as if breathing. I moved toward the auditorium, main doors locked as usual. I checked the cameras on my handheld monitor. Shadow flickered across the stage. I swore I saw a figure standing there, tall, featureless, watching, then gone. I called the principal. Sir, I think we might have an intruder, possibly someone inside. He laughed nervously. The alarm would have gone off. Don't chase shadows. I didn't. I walked. I always walk. But I felt it following. Every turn I took, every stair I descended, I felt pressure behind me. Not physical, not pressing, just aware. By midnight, I reached the West Cafeteria. I was alone, or so I thought. Chairs slid across the tile floor. Not one, not two. All of them, subtly, in unison. I froze, flashlight shaking, then silence. I radioed again. No, nothing moving, it's just me. I looked down the hall. Shadows shifted. Not from light, from space. The darkness felt thicker. I tried rational explanations. Air currents. Buildings settling. Rodents. None fit. Because when I turned my back, I felt it move closer. Not touch, not air, just exist. I checked the camera feeds. The hallways were empty, yet the tiles shimmered in the monitors. A subtle distortion, like heat haze, and in every room, the shadows seemed slightly elongated. By 12:30, I was unnerved. Been in tense situations, fights, break-ins, accidents, but fear like this is different. It's quiet, patient, watchful, not attacking, but evaluating. I moved toward the library. Main doors locked, windows intact, yet I saw books on the shelves shifting, not falling, sliding, rearranging themselves. I stepped closer. The air shimmered again. Swear I saw a silhouette crouched between the stacks. I grabbed my radio. Main office. Do you copy? Static. A low humming sound filled the hallway. I could feel it vibrating through my boots. By 1 a.m., I had reached the auditorium again. The shadow returned on stage. I raised my flashlight. Nothing visible. But I felt the focus of it like someone watching my pulse. I attempted to leave. Every hallway looped back. Every staircase seemed to extend. The building wasn't the same. Not physically. Mentally. I radioed security control. Lockdown. Evacuate. Intruder alert. Their reply. Sir, the building reports no anomalies. All doors secure. Pete. No anomalies detected. I realized then that whatever this was, it wasn't within the school systems. It was between them. By 1:30, I had lost sense of time. Footsteps echoed behind me. Not mine. Not anyone else's. I turned. Nothing. But when I continued, the echo returned. Following me, matching me. Lights flickered overhead. My flashlight dimmed. And in the periphery, I saw movement. A tall figure, indistinct, but undeniably there. Not human, not student, yet standing in the hall. Watching, by 2 o'clock, I was sweating despite the cool night air. The corridors felt alive. The shadows stretched and recoiled. I realized it was mapping me. Every corner I turned, it anticipated. Every door I passed, it lingered. In the cafeteria, a chair lifted slightly. A book hovered. Then everything fell. But the air shimmered above the floor. I understood. It could manipulate gravity. Didn't need to, just demonstrating presence. I tried contacting the principal via cell. No signal. Even in the hallway by the main office, my phone showed 0 bars. It was as if the entity erased connectivity. By 2:30, my training kicked in. Stay calm. Observe. Document. I wrote notes on my clipboard, but the pen shook in my hand unnaturally, not my nerves. The pen itself vibrated. By 3 o'clock, I was back near the main entrance. All doors locked. Alarm system intact. Yet I could feel it, pacing behind the glass walls, watching, waiting. I didn't want to look, but I had to. I glanced at the monitors. No anomaly on any camera, but every screen shimmered slightly. Not static, not interference, spatial distortion. It was watching me through the cameras. I realized the school was complicit, not intentionally. The building absorbed everything. The sensors, cameras, alarms, they registered nothing. It existed outside their perception. Corporate oversight meant nothing. Systems couldn't touch it. By 3:30, exhaustion hit. Every step I took echoed, yet the echoes weren't mine. Footsteps mirrored mine exactly. I turned. Nothing. By 4 o'clock, I tried the intercom. Anyone here, staff? No reply. Then a whisper, impossibly faint, not alone, came from the hall behind me. I spun. Nothing. By 4:30, the entity escalated. Doors rattled slightly. Paper sheets lifted from tables. Not aggressively, demonstratively. The air felt charged, watching, correcting. Finally, 5 a.m. Dawn. Morning staff arrived. Lights flickered on. Everything returned to normal. Cafeteria tables aligned. Books on shelves. Air still. The building was empty again, except I knew it wasn't. Now, every night, I patrol room 301, the halls, the West Wing. The air tightens sometimes. Shadows lengthen. Stopped calling it empty, because the halls always watch. They always remember who walks them. Story 5. The court remembers. I've spent 14 years pretending the loss didn't define me. It was the championship game. We were up by 3 with 20 seconds left. All we had to do was hold the ball. But I called for a play. We turned it over. They hit a 3, then another, and we lost by 3. Every time I walk into this gym, I see that empty space above the bleachers where a banner should have been. That space feels heavier than the rest of the ceiling. I tell everyone it was a good season. I tell myself I made the right call. But some afternoons, especially when the light hits the court just right, I replay those final 20 seconds like they're still running. Today felt like one of those afternoons. 4th period practice, tournament week. The boys were loud, distracted, full of energy. Layup lines, I called. Shoes squeaked. Balls bounced. Normal rhythm, then Caleb missed. He doesn't miss. The ball hit the glass, circled the rim once, twice, then dropped backward into his hands. The team laughed. Again, I said, same result. Backward, a weird coincidence. That's all. We moved to free throws. Every single player hit the back rim. Same hollow knock. One after another. Knock, knock, knock. I stepped to the line myself. Clean form, clean release. Back rim hard. The ball shot straight back toward me. Silence settled over the court. Reset, I said. My voice echoed strangely, longer than it should have. We switched drills. That's when the scoreboard flickered. Just once. I glanced up. 0-20, 68 minus 65. My stomach dropped. That was the final score. 14 years ago, I grabbed the remote and reset it. The numbers disappeared. Old wiring, I told myself. Nothing more. We ran defensive rotations. Marcus lost the ball mid-dribble like someone had slapped it away. No one was near him. Caleb stumbled during a simple pivot. The air felt thick. Then the ball rack behind me tipped over. Not wobbled, tipped. 12 basketballs exploded across the court. The boys jumped back as orange blurred past their legs. I stared at the rack. It was heavy steel. It doesn't fall on its own. Who touched it? I asked. No one answered, because no one had. I should have ended practice there. But quitting early feels like surrender. And I don't surrender. Scrimmage, I ordered 5-on-5. Full court, energy rising. For a few minutes, it felt normal again. Then the whistle left my mouth. I didn't drop it. It ripped free. The lanyard snapped against my neck as the whistle flew across the court and skidded to a stop near half court. No one was close enough to touch me. The boys stared. Focus, I said, though my own hands were shaking. We lined up for a final drill. 20 seconds on the clock. Simulate the final possession? Up by 3, I said. Caleb hesitated. Coach, if we're up, shouldn't we just hold it? The lights flickered 3 times. Run the play, I said. They moved the ball around the perimeter. Pass, swing, corner. Marcus lost control. But it didn't slip. It launched sideways. Hard. The ball slammed into the bleachers with a crack that echoed through the gym. The bottom row of bleachers shuddered, then retracted 1 notch with a metallic groan. The boys froze. The scoreboard lit up again. 0-20, 68 minus 65. The clock started counting down. 19, 20, 21. I hadn't touched anything. Everyone back, I shouted. The ball rack trembled. Every basketball inside it began vibrating, soft at first, then violent, like something shaking them from inside the metal frame. Then they burst upward. All of them, launched into the air at once. They didn't scatter randomly. They flew toward center court. Toward me, one slammed into my chest. Another struck the backboard so hard, the rim bent slightly downward. The boys were shouting now. Locker room, go, I yelled. The gym doors slammed shut behind them. Clock hit 5. The bleachers extended halfway out without anyone touching the controls. The buzzer screamed at 0 o'clock, distorted, stretched, wrong. The backboard behind me cracked, not outward, inward. Like something punched it from the other side. I dropped to my knees. The scoreboard still glowed. 68 minus 65. I stared at it. Shouldn't have called the play, I said. Nothing. I wanted to win bigger. The lights flickered again. I didn't trust them to hold the ball. A basketball rolled slowly from the far corner of the court. It stopped at the free throw line. Waiting. It was my fault, I whispered. The word echoed clearly. Fault. The scoreboard went dark. The bleachers stopped moving. The air felt lighter. But then, a single bounce. Behind me, I turned. One basketball was dribbling on its own at center court. Steady, controlled, like someone practicing. It bounced 3 more times, then fell still. Silence returned. The locker room doors creaked open. Coach Caleb called. I looked up at the empty banner space above the court. The metal brackets weren't shaking anymore. I'm fine, I said. But I wasn't, because I understood something then. The gym hadn't been haunted. There was no figure in the rafters, no shadow in the bleachers, just force, pressure, movement. Poltergeists don't need to be seen. They erupt. And for 14 years, I've been carrying 20 seconds of guilt inside this building. The court just gave it back to me. After the boys left, I picked up the last basketball and walked to the free throw line. Same distance, same silence. I shot. The ball arced clean. It hit the rim, balanced, then dropped straight through. No backward roll. No rejection, just gravity. The scoreboard stayed dark. The bleachers stayed still. But as I walked off the court, I couldn't shake one thought. If I ever start pretending again, if I ever bury those 20 seconds instead of owning them, I don't think the court will stay quiet next time, because the court remembers. Now I know. It always has. Thanks for listening. And if you like scary stories like this, make sure to subscribe.